Lock's Neo Egoist League will soon be coming to an end, and with that, we will only have 23 players left standing. So because of that, I thought I should give my prediction as to who is going to be in the top 23 at the end of the NEL, and what their bids are going to be. Before I get started, I do want to leave just a small spoiler warning for chapter 258 of the BLUELOCK manga, because I will be talking about events in chapter 258, so if you aren't caught up to that point, I'm going to give you the spoiler warning because there will be spoilers mentioned in this video. Also, this video was made in part to my lovely community who joined me on a live where we debated over the rankings for the top 23 Blue Lockers. If you want to possibly influence a video that I make, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get updates anytime that I go live, and maybe you'll have a chance to affect what you see. So currently we have 37 bids in the NEL. However, I'm going to start by showing you the characters who have bids but are just slightly out of the 23 representative mark. Also, for fun, I'm going to be showing you the US dollar equivalent of how much these players would be making in US dollars, simply because the majority of my community is from the US, and I think it'd be kind of fun to just show you the perspective of how much these characters are actually making. So starting off, Nishioka, we have a 3 million yen bid, Kitsune Zato with a 4 million yen bid, Chao and Wakatsuki with a 5 million yen bid, Haiji with a 6 million yen bid, Himizu with a 7 million yen bid, Wanima with an 8.2 million yen bid, Hiragi with a 9 million yen bid, Niue with a 10 million yen bid, Hayate with an 11 million yen bid, Darai with a 15 million yen bid, and Nanase with a 16 million yen bid. But now here are the 23 Blue Lockers that, as of the rankings right now, are going to represent Japan. We have Raichi with an 18 million yen bid, Hiyori with a 20 million yen bid, Zantetsu and Tokimitsu both tied with a 23 million yen bid, Fukaku with a 28 million yen bid, Gagamaru with a 32 million yen bid, Corona and Reo both tied with a 34 million yen bid, Karasu with a 35 million yen bid, Yukimiya with a 36 million yen bid, Sendo with a 37 million yen bid, Nagi and Nico both tied with a 40 million yen bid, Atoya with a 42 million yen bid, Aryu with a 45 million yen bid, Kunigami with a 50 million yen bid, Chigiri with a 55 million yen bid, Aiku with a 60 million yen bid, Bachida with a 79 million yen bid, Shido with a 100 million yen bid, Isagi and Baro both tied with a 150 million yen bid, and in first place, we have Itoshi Rin with a 198 million yen bid. And with that, those are the current bids in the NEL. Now, I simply want to make it aware to everyone that players on the Ubers team will not be getting updated bids since they do not have any more games to play where their bid could increase. So players like Baro, Aiku, Nico, and Sendo, their bids are locked. But now, before I get into the top 23, I want to give my honorable mentions who I think is just going to be shy of actually making it into the top 23. Now, obviously, there are going to be more than 4 people who do not make it into the top 23. However, these are the 4 that I think could have a chance of making it, but I just personally believe they won't. To start, I believe that Nishioka will not make it. Nishioka has been a player that has been hyped up so much ever since his first introduction, given that he is the nickname of Aomori's Messi. However, ever since his introduction, we have yet to see him do anything. For someone who's been crowned as Aomori's Messi, he's yet to really do anything in this match aside from get injured during the World 5 match and earn this 3 million yen bid, which we haven't actually seen him do anything to earn said bid, because aside from those 2 things, we haven't really seen him do anything. For his bid, I do believe he would get an increase, but not one that would really affect whether or not he makes it into the top 23. Something like 2 million. So my prediction is that Nishioka is going to have a 5 million yen bid by the end of the NEL, and unfortunately will not make it into the top 23 representatives. Next up on the honorable mentions, I have Hiragi. Now currently in the main storyline, we haven't seen Hiragi do anything. However, in the episode Nagi's side story, we learn that he has a very similar weapon to Nagi, known as mobile trapping. For those who are unaware as to what mobile trapping is, let me play you a clip from my Hiragi breakdown that I made a couple weeks ago. His other core weapon is called mobile trapping, also shown in the exact same chapter. While his trapping in some situations can rival even that of Nagi's, Hiragi's trapping is more used when he's in motion rather than being stationary. So yeah, Hiragi's weapon is very similar to Nagi's. But you may ask, if Hiragi's weapon is so similar to Nagi's, why is Nagi making it into the top 23 but not Hiragi? Well, there are a couple of reasons. For one, despite their trapping ability being very similar, Hiragi's weapon is very different from Nagi's. In the main storyline of BLUELOCK, we see Nagi be able to perform a technique called the black hole takedown, which allows him to kill the ball's entire momentum. This is only possible due to the suppleness and fluidity of Nagi's muscles, as stated by Chris Prince. Hiragi, on the other hand, doesn't have the same suppleness to his muscles as Nagi does, resulting in Hiragi being a mobile trapper, as his traps can only redirect the energy flow, meaning he is unable to perform the black hole takedown. Now, considering Hiragi's introduction in the episode Nagi's side story, I believe that rather than this being used to further segue his usage in the main main story, he instead is going to be used as a sort of temporary mentor for Nagi prior to the Barca match. Nagi originally defeated Haragi in the second selection and actually used his skills as a stepping stone to develop his jumping turn trap shot, which we see him use in the U20 match. So it isn't ridiculous to say that Haragi would assist Nagi in training, considering Nagi is currently in a slump, and this might be his way out of that. Especially when you consider the fact that Nagi suggests that Haragi is a combination of Isagi and himself. So who else should you go to when you're wanting to learn to be more creative than someone who not only shares your weapon, but is also a lot more creative than you. Given his current 9 million yen bid, I personally wouldn't believe that Haragi is going to make it into the NEL, but I do think he will get an increase of 3 million yen, so his final bid would be 12 million yen. But because he only has a 12 million yen bid, he would unfortunately be unable to represent Japan as one of the top 23. Now the next two characters I'm going to talk about are excluded from the top 23 for nearly the same reason, that being Kiora and Nanase. Now the reason I believe that Nanase and Kiora both will not make it is simply due to a few factors. First off, you need to consider the fact that within the top 23, there need to be at least 2 goalkeepers, that being Gagamaru and Fukaku, meaning the lowest possible bid for the 23 representatives has to be around 28 million, meaning for players like Yoichi, Hiyori, and Zantetsu, that's pretty easy to get. However, if you're Nanase and Kiora, that's going to be a lot more difficult, especially for Kiora, someone with no bid value. And considering Hiyori alone is going to be getting a minimum of a 15 million increase due to his play with Isagi just now, as well as Raichi and Zantetsu getting at least a small increase for just simply playing their roles on the pitch, I don't really see how Nanase or Kiora would be able to make their way onto the top 23.
Oh, but Nanase just unlocked natural ambidexterity, and Kiora has the volume cover.
Yeah, but do you believe that Kiora is going to be able to get a bid 18 million yen or above by doing anything aside from an assist? Considering Isagi's first bid was 17 million during his first game, where he got an assist? And do you think that Nanase is going to be chosen over a character like Zantetsu, Raichi, or Hiyori? Considering even Rin himself says that aside from his ambidexterity, he sucks in every other aspect of the game. I truthfully can't see that happening, and honestly, I'm kind of fine with it. This would mirror the end of the first selection, where Isagi and Bachira see the teams that lost leave BLUELOCK. This incident would strike the top 23 representatives and say, hey, just because you have talent does not mean you are still safe. It also sends the message that not everyone with talent will survive in this incredible opportunity, and that only the diamonds in the rough will survive, which is a message that Ego has been saying to the BLUELOCKers since the beginning of the series. So because of that, I really don't see them making it either. As for their growth, I could really see Nanase's bid increasing to 20 million and maybe Kiora getting 14 million. However, I really can't justify giving them any more, especially with how I predict the rest of this match is going to go. Also, because I needed to address this before anyone says anything, no, I don't believe that Igaguri is going to make it into the top 23. If we discard the jokes of Igaguri being the GOAT, it's absolutely incredible that he's managed to stay in BLUELOCK for this long. And I really think that Igaguri not surviving would also be incredibly good for the story, to send, again, another message saying that sometimes not everyone's dreams come true, and that sometimes you may waste your chance to be the best in the world simply because you wasted too much time hoping that Lady Luck would shine down upon you. This again would be good, as Ego himself said that luck isn't something that simply happens. Luck occurs to those who find themselves in the perfect position for luck to appear. So I really don't see Igaguri playing, nor do I see him getting a bid. So unfortunately, he will not make it into the top 23. But looking at the people who did make it, starting at number 23, we have Zantetsu with a 26 million yen bid. Zantetsu is an incredibly technical player, and if given a formula similar to Chigiri, could easily become one of the top 15 BLUELOCKers of all time. However, that was if the mangaka actually gave a shit about him. Zantetsu's core weapon is explosive acceleration, and his secondary weapon is his middle shot. But what sucks is that we've yet to see any development from Zantetsu ever since his debut match in the first selection. And it sucks, because Zantetsu was being built up through the episode Nagi's side story to be a really awesome character, and with his selection of PXG, people were expecting him to have at least grown some. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Now, given the key members of PXG and the players currently in this match, I really can't see Zantetsu getting any real significant increase to his bid value. However, I could see him slightly increasing simply due to his presence on the pitch, as even players who don't do much still increase in value. So I could justify him getting a 3 million yen increase just for him existing on the pitch. But despite that, I still think he is a huge waste of potential, and I can just see him barely surviving in 23rd place. Coming in 22nd, we have Fukaku, whose bid value has not changed. Now, Fukaku, realistically, is only in the top 23 simply because we need a second goalkeeper. I honestly have no idea how Fukaku got a 28 million yen bid. From what we've seen, Fukaku has only played in one NEL game, and he didn't do anything. Sendo provided the only save during that entire game and has provided more saves than the actual goalkeeper. Not to mention, the only time that Fugaku had to do something, he fucking missed. He legit was given a 28 million yen bid to do nothing. He legit was given a 28 million yen bid for failing to block the ball. Come on, Nomura. If you're gonna justify having Fugaku getting this large of a bid, at least let him do something worthy of it, instead of just letting him sit there having my glorious King Sendo do all of the saving. But unfortunately, Fugaku survives in 22nd place. Next up, tied with Fugaku, I have Tokimitsu with a 28 million yen bid. Tokimitsu, in my opinion, has been the most underutilized and quite frankly, most wasted potential in all of Blue Lock. Tokimitsu has the strongest physique in the series, excluding wildcard Kunigami, or at least I thought he did, but now he's getting outmuscled by Yoichi. Tokimitsu, just like Zantetsu, has been performing just as well as Zantetsu has. And that is not a compliment. In the same way that Zantetsu is training under a speedster and didn't get any speed training, Tokimitsu is training under a league with an up-and-coming team who is probably feeling a similar anxiety to how he's feeling. This would have been the opportunity for Tokimitsu to come back even with just a speck of confidence and allow for his character to show some growth to match his insane physique. But nope, unless your name is Isagi or Nagi, author doesn't care about you. For the same reason as Zantetsu, I could see him earning a bid to increase his value. However, I really can't see him doing anything of importance this match. I do see him getting a larger bid than Zantetsu simply because his physique, in my opinion, is more useful this match than Zantetsu's speed is, given that Zantetsu was made to be Shido's link-up partner, and with Kunigami marking Shido, I can't see him being as utilized as much as Tokimitsu would be with Rin. Now next up in 20th place, I have Yoichi with a 32 million yen bid. Yoichi, as we know, while not currently having many feats in this game, has had some very impressive ones in the past game. And by impressive ones, I mean impressive one, because he really only did one thing during the last game that actually mattered, which was slightly contained Snuffy. But that feat shouldn't be overlooked simply because he only did that one thing. Because even slightly containing the best overall player in the world is an insane feat. With that, I can see Yoichi doing some pretty impressive things on defense during this game, such as possibly containing Charles with Hiyori, or even marking another character like Tokimitsu. And considering his recent appearance in the NEL with the previous match being Ubers, it's very likely that he's going to survive. Now in 19th, we have Sendo, who's still currently at a 37 million yen bid. Sendo's final game in the NEL was against Manshine City, so he currently won't be getting a bid increase. However, based on his performance, I say that Sendo is fully deserving of a 37 million yen bid. Next up, tied for 17th place, we have Nico and Karasu, both with a bid of 40 million yen. Now, Nico also had his final game against Manshine City, so I can't really say anything for Nico. However, for Karasu, oh, I have a ton to say. First off, I don't care what you say, Karasu is an overrated player. He's yet to do anything of real importance or anything of an incredibly high skill level ever since his debut match in the 3rd selection. And now the only real thing that he's done in the NEL is link up with Shido and Charles and then send a backheel pass to Charles. That is legit all he's done. I really don't understand why Blue Lock fans meat ride Karasu so hard when he's done less in the series than Sendo has. The only reason that I'm actually ranking him above Sendo despite everything I just said is simply because Karasu will most likely get a bid increase due to his involvement in this game. Now, I'm not saying he deserves a massive bid increase because he frankly doesn't, but a 5 million yen increase for simply existing on the pitch isn't the most far-fetched idea possible. Next up, in 16th place, we have Yukimiya with a 41 million yen bid. Yukimiya is an underrated player in Blue Lock and a character who is severely overhated by the community. He is one of the fastest in Blue Lock, he is one of the best dribbling styles, and his performance during the Manshine City game was absolute peak. As for his bid, I really can't see it increasing drastically simply because he's yet to be actually put onto the pitch. But I could see him subbing in for someone like Mensur on defense or even Kiora to allow for him to have some playtime. For his increase, I could see it being the same as Karasu simply because I don't see him doing anything insanely impressive during this game, but still getting an increase for existing during the game. Now next up on 15th, we have Ario with a 45 million yen bid. Now like Nico and Sendo, Ario's bid has been completed with the results of the previous game. So with his 45 million yen bid, he falls in at 16th simply because of the values above him. But for 14th place, we have Corona with a 50 million yen bid. Now for Corona's bid, I could see him gaining 16 million this match, and that's mostly in part to me believing that Isagi will score again and Corona will be assisting. Now originally I didn't believe that Isagi was going to score again, but now with Corona on the pitch, it seems likely that he's going to score again. I also do believe that he's going to shift back to where Hiyori's position is, and Hiyori will push up to where Ness's, since Corona's speed would be super useful on defense, which his involvement on defense would allow for an increase to his value. But tied for 12th place, we have Hiyori and Gagamaru with a 52 million yen bid. Now Hiyori's value would shoot up thanks to his play with Isagi, however the reason that I push it up so high is specifically because of what this goal meant. If you look at the Ubers game, people could suspect that Hiyori's alley cross pass to Isagi was simply a fluke that allowed for him to score. However, in this game, it proved that that top performance goal is actually reproducible, which I think would factor very heavily into his increase. You could also factor in the fact that he stopped Lin's shot and Charles's pass, which could also increase his value. Overall, I put Hiyori above Corona simply because Hiyori's feats during this game outweigh anything I believe Corona would be able to do. For Gagamaru, I'm expecting there to be a situation where Gagamaru is forced to block an insane shot that would boost his bid by 20 million. It'd have to be something incredibly good, considering that blocking Baro's stealth kill shot only granted him a 4 million yen increase, which I think, realistically, is just criminal. But I'm honestly expecting great things from Gagamaru, and I hope he gets the bid increase that he deserves. Rounding off the final placement before the top 10, in 11th, we have Otoya with a bid of 55 million yen. Now, in my opinion, I have no idea why Otoya is so close to the top 10. He's an overall terrible player with a very minimal usage. I mean, the only thing that I know that he's done during the NEL is assist Bachata, but aside from that, I really don't know what he's done. Sure, other characters like Hiyori or Corona do really nothing but assist Isagi, however, I believe that they use their weapons or physical attributes in way more effective ways than Otoya does. If it was up to me, Otoya would just barely make it into the top 23, and that's being very generous. But I would have to give him a slight increase because I am expecting him to assist Bachata and get an improved value because of it. Starting off in the top 10, in 10th place, we have Aiku with a bid of 60 million. Now, like the other Ubers players, Aiku's bid is locked in. However, I believe he is a character deserving to be in the top 10. Given Aiku being not only the best defender in the series, aside from Lorenzo of course, but also possessing a fairly strong physique and physical abilities along with metavision. Aiku, in my opinion, is fairly deserving of being in the top 10, but I do believe that other players in the NEL deserve a higher bid than him. One of those players, being in our number 9 spot, is Reo with a bid of 65 million. Reo and Nagi's downfall is something a lot of people have been talking about within the BLUELOCK community, and it's pretty obvious as to why, with Reo dropping from 6th to 16th and Nagi dropping from 2nd to 11th, all within 2 games. But I'm one of the fans who believes that they're going to make a comeback. I mentioned before how Hiragi will most likely become a mentor to both Reo and Nagi, which will allow for them to evolve and fix their slump. And I honestly could see it happening. Not even considering that, look at what they're capable of when they are not in a slump. Reo has the ability to copy any technical skill to 99% accuracy, and also has metavision. Reo is truly worthy of a comeback and is also worthy of getting into the top 10. Considering he has to get an increase of less than half his current bid, I could really see it happening. But for number 8, we have Kunigami with a bid of 75 million. Now, Kunigami's performance in this match is going to be fully dedicated to the defensive side of this game. The only way that his bid would increase aside from the defensive standpoint would be in part to the fact that he assisted Isagi. The rest of his bid increase would come from his ability to contain Shiro, someone who's worth double what Kunigami is. His constant man marking, containment, and interception of passes from Charles are what's going to affect his bid to increase to 75 million. And I honestly think a 25 million yen increase is worth constant man marking plus an assist, considering Raichi's bid was 18 million simply for his constant man marking. So I would say it's pretty probable that Kunigami is going to get a 25 million increase. But looking at number 7, we have Chigiri with a value of 80 million. If you really think about it, Chigiri's value is way too low considering his performance in all of his previous matches. As far as we are aware, Chigiri has scored a goal in every single one of the matches that he's participated in. Now, we aren't sure if he scored a goal against Ubers, however, when we look at the bid values, Nagi and Reo's values went down while Chigiri's went up, and there was a goal scored for Manshine. Chigiri was also able to block Predator Eye Baro, score the first goal for their team in the NEL, and developed a formula that allows for him to score all by himself with no need for other player assistance. His passing and his speed are now top notch thanks to his training in England, so it wouldn't surprise me if during the game against Barcha he scored a goal, also increasing his value. I honestly think that Chigiri's original value definitely deserves to be higher than 55 million, but that's just me. Now for this, despite there being 6 people left, we've entered the top 5, because the next 2 actually share the 5th spot, being Bachata and Nagi, both who I believe will have a 100 million value. Bachata is already one of the best individual players in the NEL, with his Jinga X Monster dribbling style being used to break down an entire team on his own. He, like Chigiri, has also scored during every single match that he's participated in. Because of that fact, and the fact that he's legit carrying Barcha on his back, I believe that he's worth 100 million. But now for Nagi, this is where I'm expecting to get some hate. Whether you guys believe it or not, Nagi is going to make a comeback. He is legitimately the author's favorite character. He's been hinted at having a comeback. And do you really see a player like Nagi being placed lower than Otoya in the final rankings? The biggest reason I believe that Nagi is going to awaken is given the fact that his final matchup is against a player like Bachira, someone whose whole playstyle revolves around creativity. So I think playing against him would be the perfect chance for Nagi to reawaken and develop his own creativity. So simply because of those reasons, I believe that both Bachira and Nagi are going to earn a 100 million yen bid. Now in 4th place, we have Shido with a value of 140 million. Shido's rocket goal during the start of the match is going to be the biggest thing for his bid increase. However, aside from that, I really can't think of anything else that would allow for his value to go up. This would be in part to Kunigami's constant man marking, which is restricting Shido's ability to play since he keeps intercepting Charles's passes. And with Charles constantly passing to Shido instead of Lin, it's actually making it worse for Shido, seeing as Kunigami keeps intercepting more and more passes, essentially saying to everyone that, oh, Shido can't get the ball as long as Kunigami is around. So aside from Shido's rocket goal, I really can't see him doing anything else impressive in this match that would get his bid above Baro's. Speaking of Baro, in 3rd place, we have Baro with a value of 150 million. Now, like I've said a lot during this video, Baro's bid is locked in at 150 million due to the game against Manshine City being his final game for Ubers. However, I still think that Baro got robbed of a higher bid. Baro scored 2 goals against Bastard München, one in which Gagamaru couldn't even move, and the second that nutmegged 2 players. One of them was a new Gen 11. He also completely took over Ubers and with the assistance from a new Gen 11 player was able to steamroll through the entire field. Not to mention with his game against Manshine City, he scored 2 goals, which should have upped his value a lot, but whatever. Now in 2nd place, we have Rin with a value of 230 million. Rin has been number 1 in BLUELOCK ever since his introduction in the series. First, it was the 100 goals challenge, then it was the 3rd selection, then it was the BLUELOCK 11, and now it's the NEL. And his skills are nothing to sneeze at either. His occlusion break allows for him to dribble through many players with ease, and he has the ability to play outside of the prediction of Metavision users, as we see with Isagi and Kaiser. The biggest things in this match that would contribute to Rin's value going up would be if he entered flow state and scored a goal later in this match. With Charles' recent refusal to pass to Rin, I can't really see him actually assisting Rin during this match, which would result in Rin being forced to play alone like he did in the U20 match. Now this would increase his bid substantially, however I don't think that he would be ranked above Isagi. So in 1st place, we have my glorious blue-eyed king Isagi with a bid of 250 million yen. Now typically, I'm not an Isagi meat writer, as you could tell from my last video where I said I didn't believe that Isagi was going to be able to score another goal. However, with the way that this match is progressing, the theory of Isagi scoring a hat-trick is seeming more and more probable. He was able to outperform Kaiser and Rin with this twin gun volley, and now with Grim leaving and Corona joining in, it seems really likely that Isagi is going to score again. I'm honestly predicting that Isagi is going to be moved up to center forward with Kaiser, so I'm really hoping that Isagi lives up to the community's expectations. Now there are some people who said that Isagi deserves a 300 million yen bid, and I just do not agree. If we assume that 300 million is the estimated bid value of a new Gen 11 player, do we really agree and say that Isagi is on the same level as Sai, or even on the same level as someone like Kaiser? Because I sure don't. Sure, Isagi has Metavision, his lefty shot, and now his twin gun volley, but I don't think that beats up Kaiser's arsenal of both Metavision and Predator Eye, but also the fastest shot in the world, along with all of its variations. While I think 250 million may be a little too high, it's more reasonable than a 300 million bid. And with that, those were my predictions for the top 23 NEL values by the end of the NEL. I hope you guys did enjoy this video despite it being a lot longer than the rest of my videos. Now the next BLUELOCK chapter is called Challenging the Impossible, so it's very likely that we're going to see Kaiser's new weapon next chapter, or we're going to be having a Kaiser focused chapter. So if you guys are very excited for that, let me know down below. As for the question of the video, who do you think is going to have the highest bid in the NEL? Isagi or Rin? Leave me your thoughts down below in the comments. And like always, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe for more content just like this.
Too slow, trying to keep up with me now. Keep up, keep up, keep up.